The Cyberpunk 2077 Iceberg? Let's go. Morgan Blackhand. As you explore Night City, you will eventually come across the name, Morgan Blackhand, and people talk about him as if he's some sort of legend.
Nah, chica. Not just any other city. Morgan Blackhand, Andrew Wayland, Adam Smasher. Legends are born here.
But who exactly is this person? Well, Morgan Blackhand was the ultimate solo, one of the greatest mercs to ever live. He first appeared in the Cyberpunk 2020 tabletop RPG, and like I said before, he was the ultimate solo, a mercenary for hire that was known to be able to do the impossible. Known for his sleek black cyberarm, he was a master of combat, guns, blades, martial arts, you name it. But one thing did set him apart, his code. In Night City, where everyone's either bought or broken, Blackhand would pick his job and stay true to his principles and never bowed to the corpse. He had no agenda and no aspirations, he only went for whoever was the highest bidder. But Blackhand's story really hit its peak during the Fourth Corporate War, a brutal showdown between Militech and Arasaka that nearly destroyed the world. By 2023, Night City was a complete war zone, and Blackhand was right in the thick of it, hired by Militech to strike Arasaka at its heart. The mission was simple: get rid of any information regarding Soulkiller and retrieve or destroy the Reclary database project. The plan ended up going sideways pretty fast. Arasaka's top enforcer, Adam Smasher, a cybernetic beast, met Blackhand in a showdown that's still talked about today. But as Blackhand and Smasher were duking it out, the nuke detonated and Arasaka Tower became a crater, taking thousands with it and possibly including Blackhand himself. After the tower fell, Blackhand vanished, and some say that he's dead while others say that they swear he's out there. Now, whether Blackhand is dead or out there plotting his next big move, only time will tell. But Blackhand's legend definitely lives on, inspiring new mercs who have dreams of making it big in Night City. Editing me here, while I was doing a little bit more research into Morgan Blackhand, I came across a very interesting interview with the creator, Mike Pondsmith, where he tells us that Morgan Blackhand is still alive, and more importantly, how he survived the nuking at Arasaka.
Morgan Blackhand.
Yeah. Where is he?
Where is he?
I'm not going to tell you. Okay, I am working out a new... Morgan will surface. He is alive, but I have about 10 years that Morgan's doing some fairly important stuff. And the best I can say is imagine if the Batman traveled a lot. You know, I mean, when their final confrontation, what most people don't know is that when the building blew, Morgan used part of Smasher's body as a shield to get down to the ground floors. And that Adam was basically like the surfboard ride to the bottom of the Arasaka Towers for Morgan Blackhand.
Buildables Bunny Girl. This is talking about my partnership with Buildables to help bring my channel's mascot to life. You know deep down you like bunny girls, don't you lie to me. Included with this, you'll get your custom Crazy Rabbit Buildables Bunny Girl figure with over 290 pieces. Standing at 6 inches tall, it even comes with a full color instruction booklet. And don't worry, it's all pictures and no words, so if you can't read like me, you're good. And to top it off, you'll even get your very own collectible Crazy Rabbit Buildables trading card, and you might want to send that in to get graded. It's probably going to be a 10 and worth millions someday. And if you really love your buildable bunny girl, you're probably going to want to bundle all of this with a custom Buildables display case for a discount and free US shipping. So if you are interested, pre-orders start today and it's only open for 3 weeks. So go to the link in the description or go to buildables.com/crazyrabbit to help support me by pre-ordering my bunny girl buildables. This company has been a breeze to work with, and I even had a direct involvement on how this turned out. And if you are a huge fan of like listening to a podcast or music in the background while you build stuff, this is just right up your alley, and it doesn't look half bad sitting on your shelf. So you better pre-order it now, because after the time's up, it's gone forever, and you'll never be able to get one. Ever. So link in the description, go get it right now. V's real name. V's real name, depending on if you are playing as a male or female character, is going to be Vincent or Valerie. And during the game, people really only ever use those names like twice. Once during the quest Automatic Love, where if you were like me the first time you ever played, you probably weren't paying attention and picked Angel, and you had to go back and switch it to Sky. But during that quest, they do use your real name.
Hi, I'm Sky. And you must be Valerie?
V. Just V. Only people who know me real well can use my real name.
And you must be Vincent?
And the other time is actually from Johnny during one of the Phantom Liberty DLC's ending.
Think this is it, kiddo?
Yes. So,
Promise me one thing, will you?
I promise. No idea what, but I promise.
Not asking you to never give up. Sometimes, you gotta let go. Just don't let anyone change who you are, okay?
Johnny, I've...
Good night, Valerie. Today was a good day.
Rebecca's shotgun. Rebecca is from the Cyberpunk Edgerunners anime and is a lot of people's favorite character. Whether it's her cool design or her ride or die attitude, everyone immediately fell in love with her. But unfortunately, in the anime, spoiler alert, she did not meet a very good end. But in the anime, you can see her multiple times using her shotgun, Guts, which is a rather unique shotgun that has an iconic modifier which increases the chance to wound and dismember an enemy. And if you ever wanted to get said shotgun, all you have to do is head to Memorial Park. And it's pretty easy to get. All you have to do is look in some bushes in the southern part, around where the 3 praying monks are, and you'll be able to find it. One of the most badass shotguns in the game is just chilling in some bushes. How ironic. Takemura can survive. Takemura definitely has to be one of the coolest characters in the game. He's just written so well and is such a badass that you can't help but love him. But probably the first time you ever played this game, you might have left him to die. During the mission Search and Destroy, where you have successfully kidnapped Hanako Arasaka, and Takemura takes her to an abandoned apartment building where you are to rendezvous with him, once you get inside, you can hear some weird sounds coming from the hallway, where shortly after, Arasaka forces breach the safe house, leaving you to fight for your life. And the first time you ever probably did this, you probably just tried to escape and save yourself. But you can stay and fight a little bit more to save Takemura's life. If you fight your way back to the 3rd floor, you can meet back up with Takemura and you will both be able to fight your way outside. And saving him versus letting him die will actually give you 2 different endings. During the devil ending, if you chose to keep him around, he will be the one that shows up.
Get up.
Takemura, blunt as usual. They say you demanded someone tell you the truth. They have kept you here in this cell for days? It is barbaric.
Things done changed. This is one of the endings for the Phantom Liberty DLC, where if you choose to hand over Songbird, you essentially can go through an operation to basically save your life, but at a cost. You are in a coma for 2 years, and you can't go back to your old way of life. You essentially are just a regular human being. But one of the most depressing parts about this ending is that you can check up on all of your friends after 2 years and see exactly where they are. And a lot of them have pretty much moved on from you.
I'm only gonna say this once. I'm in no mood for pranks. So if you don't...
Hey there, Vic.
V? Is it really you?
You don't know how good it is to hear you.
It's good to hear you too, V. But how are you... Why?
So, this netrunner I met got me involved in this FIA op. They promised surgery, cure using the runner's tech in exchange. And it worked. But not without complications. A 2-year coma, for one.
chunk of life there.
Yup. I mean, they saved me, new lease on life, but chrome's a no-go for me. Now, even simple muscle boosters.
Is that what they told you? Quacks, I bet. They overlook something. I just know it. Come see me, V.
Think I stand a chance of being normal again? My old self.
Of course you do. I've got new tech. Does wonders.
World changes, moves on, but man, Vic's ever the last reliable resort.
Yeah. I'll see you, V. You know the address.
No fucking way.
Hey, Jude.
V, where you been, June?
In US clinic. Had surgery. That's a long story.
Must have been a long operation, too. Gruesome. Bloody.
Spent most of that time in a coma. Unplanned, obviously.
Wow, V. Thought I'd never see you again.
Should be dead, I know. Good news is, finally found a way to excise the biochip.
What? How? Telling me Silverhand's out? You're gonna remain yourself?
Forever and ever. 100% V.
V, that is beyond Nova. So damn nice to know some stories actually get a happy ending.
Dealing with some drawbacks. I'll never fully recover. I'm alive, sure, but I have no idea what comes next.
Shit. You serious? Really sorry, V. I hope you figure it out. Get yourself set up again.
Thought I could drop by, see you. We'd grab a pizza, talk.
You know, a lot's changed.
Preem. Fresh NC gossip. Can't wait to hear it.
V, I'm in Pittsburgh, and I'm married. If you ever hop to the other coast, come on over for a beer, but now, really can't help you.
That's not... Wasn't expecting that.
2 years, V. I was lonely, lost in my head. First Evelyn, then you. No way I would have made it alone.
What's her name?
Bianca. But looks, character, nothing like you at all.
You know, we could have made it.
Sure. Maybe. But you were dying, and you up and disappeared. What was I supposed to do? But I'm good now, V. Please, don't take that away.
Don't have much of a choice, do I?
Goodbye, V. And I'm sorry.
You have reached Pan Am Palmer. We're sorry. The subscriber is currently outside the service area. Please leave a message or call again later.
Pam, hey. Been a while since we saw each other. It was a lot longer than I thought or wanted. Guess you're away somewhere. Hope it's temporary. A waypoint. Not outright nomadic flight. I can explain everything. I can. Rather do it face to face, though. Guess it comes down to just not wanting to be alone right now. So, We'll be in touch. I will. See you soon.
No damn way.
River, it's me.
Me who?
Well, V, obviously.
Is it obvious? How do I know I'm not speaking to Silverhand?
Stop futzing around.
V I knew wouldn't have waited 2 years to return a call. What'd you expect a year after all this time?
River, I was in a coma. They just woke me up.
Oh, shit, V. Sorry. Here I am being a fucking asshole to you.
You okay? Getting this vibe that something's wrong.
Honestly, everything is.
What's going on?
I needed money for Randy's rehab. So I did a deal with Drama. Sold him a pile of police secrets. Dirt on whoever they wanted.
Fuck, River. Now I feel bad. Can we meet? Help each other out?
Too late for that.
What? Rather not see me?
Look, I'm not the man you used to know. Couldn't stand to look you in the eye. Not you. Not. Fuck am I blabbing for? I gotta go.
Wait a sec, River.
And that's why I say, you know what? Him sideways. Hang on, guys.
Someone grinding your gears again?
Holy V? Or is it Johnny?
Won't be hearing from Johnny anymore. Ever.
You mean he's...
Yeah.
Shit. Weird. Losing someone a second time like that.
Sorry about that, Carrie.
Yeah. Well, still glad you're around, yeah?
And what about you, Carrie? What's up? Career going strong?
Actually, yeah. Thanks for asking. Sitting on the Crystal Palace as we speak. Played a gig yesterday. Had this beautiful view of Europe. Shit. V, wish you were here.
Yeah. Well, not really in a partying mood right now.
Okay, Spill. Thumbs up.
Really want to talk face to face.
Oh. Sounds serious.
Think we can meet up?
They can't now. I'm on tour. It will be a while. But if the hollow's enough, I'm all yours.
Well, just woke up from a 2-year coma.
Gee, shit. Can you not, Joe? I'm on a call. Is that not clear?
Yeah, Care? Do you know what?
Yeah. She said coma?
Yeah, got surgery. That's why I'm alive. But it didn't work out. Not completely.
Fuck. Damn, I'm sorry. It sounds like shit. You need anything? Eddie's maybe, or,
First thing that comes to mind? Eddie's?
You know, for meds, treatment, or whatever.
Can't treat it, Carrie. Gonna have to live with it till I
What the
die.
hell did I say, Yuki? Let him f***ing tune. I don't need to hold her hand, as long as it's all harmony.
Carrie, you hear me? Was saying...
Hey, chill. I want to help, okay?
Looking like everybody needs Carrie. Wants a piece of you.
Yeah, it's crap coincidence, you know. Lots going on. Shit luck.
Yeah. Shit luck. Wanna help, huh? Why don't I believe you?
Well, kind of odd question, huh?
No, I know you want to help. But you'll have interviews after the tour, recordings after the interviews. Care hand on heart. Am I still part of your life?
Yeah, listen, V, in the middle of something, kind of. Look, I gotta go. They're calling me back on stage. Yeah, you wanna shoot the shit later? Hit me up on the holo.
And after that, you can head back to Night City, where you can catch up with Vic, one of the only true friends you have in this world, where afterwards you will run into a couple thugs and pretty much get your ass handed to you.
Not a good time, Chumba.
Like I give a shit. Give me money. Booyah!
And after that, you will run into Misty, where she tells you that she's convinced that you'll figure your life out no matter what, even if you are just another face in the crowd. Before we continue on with the video, I do have to shout out my Patreons. We got Brian Hahn, Lucky Potato, Icy Storm, Mayall, G Daddy Smackdown, Org, Ty Mulan, Simple Simon, and One Up Gamer. Patreons are amazing and they get videos early and also semi-sensual pictures of old men in bathtubs. So if you'd like to be a Patreon supporter, link is right down there below in the description. Back to the video. These pets. This is talking about two of the pets that you can get in the game. The first one being Nibbles the cat, which can be acquired anytime after completing Playing for Time at the start of Act 2. To get Nibbles, you're gonna need to obtain some cat food, which can be found at random food vendors around Night City. And after completing the Playing for Time quest, if you go outside your apartment, you can find a bowl sitting on the ground, and you can interact with it and fill it with cat food. And after you leave and return sometime later, you can find Nibbles eating from it, where you can interact with Nibbles and basically adopt the cat. The other pet you can get is going to be an iguana. During the heist in Yorinobu's penthouse at Konpeki Plaza, you can find this egg behind a tree trunk on the first floor near the adult iguana. And after the same quest, Playing for Time, a bowl will appear inside V's apartment, allowing you to place the egg inside. And after 90 days of in-game time, the egg will hatch and you will have a pet iguana. Johnny talks during the loading screens. In case you didn't know, during some of the loading screens, if you wait for the entire news broadcast to finish, sometimes Johnny will have a thing or two to say about it.
To those who raise a hand against the Arasaka family, I promise you, we will rip the hand off and pour salt in the bloody stump.
Well, looks like the gloves are coming off.
Have you heard of the Prison of Souls about Walt Cunningham and the Soul Killer? No? Well then, buckle up, because I've got...
Huh. Netwatch never sleeps.
Judy's butt. Towards the end of Judy's quest, when she asks you to go dive with her, after you get all dressed up in your swimsuits and you start going underwater, if you get caught staring at her butt, you will get some unique dialogue.
Enjoying the view?
You see what I see, like, in real time?
Oh yeah, I see everything.
Visual sensors are getting stemmed right now. Can't be denied. To think I never realized how fit you were.
Don't get excited. Oxygen supply is limited.
USSR. The USSR still does exist in the Cyberpunk universe, although their history takes a little different path than the one in real life. By 1994, the USSR has pretty much been transformed into the Neo-Soviets, where instead of the USSR dissolving in 1991, they ended up reforming into a capitalist-leaning economic union, kinda similar to like the European Union. And the Neo-Soviets eventually became an energy and military superpower, who are allied with the European Economic Community. but are very heavily influenced by Sov Oil, who is a powerful petrochemical corporation. Following the Knights of Fire, a failed coup by socialist hardliners and former KGB agents, Sov Oil gained significant control, forming its own paramilitary force and effectively dominating the USSR's government by the 2000s. By 2077, the Neo-Soviet Union is a corporate-driven entity, with Sov Oil diversifying into mining, shipbuilding, fuel production, and a lot more. And now the USSR is depicted as a region with high-quality manufacturing, but riddled with corruption and oligarch control, and essentially has become a parody of its former socialist self. Now, you don't really hear too much about the USSR in the game. There are some notable quests like Spy in the Jungle, which is in the Phantom Liberty DLC, where Sov Oil's involvement in a trade deal with Brazil leads to a cover-up of a Brazilian agent's death, hinting at a potential international conflict. So in the cyberpunk world, the USSR is still very much alive and kicking. They just don't have too much to do with the Cyberpunk 2077 story. They are there, just not a big part. The Black Wall. The Black Wall is a highly advanced AI-constructed digital firewall that isolates the old net from the modern net. The old net, established in the 1980s, was a vast interconnected digital infrastructure, but it would eventually become dangerous in an uncontrolled space overrun by rogue AI. These AIs were unbound by ethical constraints and caused chaos, including the data crash of 2022. The data crash corrupted or destroyed 78% of the net, crashing global economies, infrastructure, and supply chains, which would go on to lead to the Fourth Corporate War. In response to this, Netwatch, a global organization tasked with policing cyberspace, commissioned the creation of the Black Wall. It was designed by an advanced AI to seal off the old net, trapping the rogue AIs behind an impenetrable barrier. This protected the new networks from these rogue AI. And nowadays, the Black Wall acts as a one-way barrier, preventing rogue AIs from escaping the old net while allowing limited, controlled access by authorized netrunners. Now, crossing the Black Wall is known to be extremely risky. Rogue AIs beyond it, described as godlike, malevolent entities, can instantly kill or possess netrunners via brain-frying malware or soul-killer-like programs, and even Netwatch agents rarely venture past it. Now, a lot of different groups have tried to exploit the Black Wall at some point in time. The Voodoo Boys, for example, are willing to do anything to remove the Black Wall and win favors with the rogue AIs for when they return, because they think it's only inevitable that the AI that is in charge of the Black Wall will eventually become rogue itself. Corporations like Militech have even sought to harness the power for the Black Wall for their own ends. And even the federal government of the new United States have been interested in harnessing the Black Wall via very skilled netrunners such as Songbird. So to sum it up, the Black Wall is a digital, quote-unquote, iron curtain, separating the modern fractured net from the old anarchic net. Created by Netwatch to prevent another data crash, it's semi-sentient lethal barrier that protects humanity, but also hides some pretty dangerous secrets. Cameos. Cyberpunk 2077 has a lot more cameos than you might think. Some of the more popular ones would be Hideo Kojima, who can be found in Act 1 during the mission The Heist, where as you explore the hotel, you can come across them.
今のままじゃブレインダンスはダメだと思うんだよな。単純な表現しかできてないから。笑いといえばコメディだし、恐怖はホラーだし、恋愛はラブロマンスじゃん。ジャンル映画の方法を使ってるだけでしょ。感情表現ってそうじゃないんじゃないかな。だから今東京のチームと実験をしてるんだよ。人間の感情がもっと豊かな作品を作ろうと思ってね。例えば嬉しいけど物悲しいとか、落ち着いてるけど何か不安を感じるとか、そういう感覚ってあるでしょ。僕はリアルを感じてもらいたいんだよ。もちろん現実には体験できない物語を通してね。Hey, 新しい企画のオファー
？Another person that you might have heard of is Grimes, who is a voice actor for a character in the game called Lizzie Wizzy.
I just care about my privacy.
Fuck me. It's you.
It's me, Lizzie Wizzy.
A very popular Twitch streamer by the name of Carnage has a pretty important character in the game, and the character looks very similar to him. His character in the game is going to be Gary the Prophet.
Cameras are all around us, even within us. Your joys, your worries, your life. For them, it is all mere spectacle.
Another interesting cameo is going to be by the YouTuber Jesse Cox, who plays one of the funniest characters in the entire game. You know, the one guy with the implant malfunction.
No, it's a normal implant malfunction. Happy? You helping me or what?
And those are just a couple cameos. The game has a lot more, but I don't want to spend all day just talking about cameos. Failing Phantom Liberty. This is talking about the two ways that you can just straight up fail the Phantom Liberty DLC. The first one is pretty funny. During the quest where you have to rescue Myers from the plane crash that pretty much kicks off the DLC, if you instead just don't do that, you'll get this pretty interesting interaction. Songbird will get very, very angry at you, and even Johnny has a pretty good quip to say about it.
You motherfucking... What? Congrats, V. You just killed Rosalind Myers and fucked the NUSA.
What the hell are you spewing, Songbird?
You had one job. Get to the plane, save her. You failed. You killed her, as if you pulled the trigger yourself. Pray we don't meet again, and I mean ever.
Still with us?
Oh, what happened?
Your presidential rescue op. Miserable failure. Honestly though, good fucking riddance.
Okay. So now what?
Huh. We go on living. Start by finding us a drink.
The next way you can do this is actually pretty interesting because you can just straight up make the decision that you don't want to participate in this DLC and you can just peace out. During the conversation with Reed and Myers, you can choose the dialogue option, "You're right, I'm out," and you can pretty much just leave. Nothing bad happens and that's it. You could do a bunch of side gigs, but the main one is no longer accessible to you.
Know what, Reed? You're right. Something real wonky about this. I'm out.
Now listen close, V. I'm only gonna say this once. Songbird promised you help with the relic. Now I will use any and all NUS assets to fulfill that promise. Consider it my contribution to your deal. Walk out of here, and the deal's null and void. Understood?
Not a bluff, V.
Finally showing me your true face. That the way of things? Hard pass for me then. If I gotta die, I'm not gonna die fighting someone else's war.
I see. Well, we'll manage without you. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Huh. Gotta be the shortest FIA career ever. Might not be an agent, but you're definitely special, V.
Mr. Blue Eyes is watching you. Mr. Blue Eyes is a mysterious individual located in Night City that seems to always be watching you and know everything, and somehow heavily involved behind the scenes in the politics of Night City. The first time you might come across Mr. Blue Eyes is going to be during the quest Dream On, where you can dig around for Jefferson Peralez and slowly piece together that people are trying to control his mind. And once you figure out all this information, you can go to meet with Jefferson, where an unknown caller will call you and say this.
Yeah?
It doesn't matter what you tell him. It doesn't matter what you think of doing or do. You can't change anything.
What?
We know who you are. We know what you are. We know what you want. You are playing with fire. Don't dare cross the line.
And lo and behold, not too far away from the meeting spot, you can see Mr. Blue Eyes watching over you. The next time you might see this man is during the Phantom Liberty DLC. During the DLC, when V is sneaking through the Tycho terminal, he can be spotted out the window. And later on, Songbird eventually reveals that her flight to the moon was completely handled by an unknown proxy, which she describes as a corporo everyman with an expensive, understated suit, dark hair, and blue eyes. And again, he can be spotted when V and Songbird are taking the monorail to the rocket, standing just outside on the platform holding an umbrella. And you can again see him in the Path of Glory ending, in which you assault Arasaka Tower to reach Mikoshi. And after those events, Mr. Blue Eyes contacts you and hires you to essentially rob the casino located in the Crystal Palace.
V, I've long awaited this moment, to look the latest afterlife legend in the eye. I must say, I'm moved.
Happy not to disappoint.
Ladies first.
Now, no one really knows who Mr. Blue Eyes is, but the people of Night City can sometimes be heard commenting on Mr. Blue Eyes' existence. And even though not too much is known about him, the one thing everyone can agree on is that he's always there, watching. V's age. So when Cyberpunk 2077 originally came out, V was canonically 27, which in my opinion, fits a lot better. But after the 2.0 update, they for some reason decided to change V to 23 years old. Why they did this, I have no idea, but to me, V is 27. Jackie's engram. This is talking about what can eventually happen to Jackie depending on what choices you make. After Jackie passes away, and if you choose to send his body to Victor, it will eventually get taken by Arasaka, and Soul Killer will be used on him. And depending on what ending you go with, you can eventually come across Jackie again. If you as V decide to help Alt destroy Mikoshi, you can eventually reconnect with Jackie on the rooftop, where you can get into this very weird conversation with Jackie's engram, where you kinda come to the realization that this might not actually be the real Jackie, but some of the dialogue options may have a deeper meaning.
Mano.
Jackie!
Gonna be up to our necks in juicy contracts, brother. I can feel it.
Where are we? Is it a dream?
It'll be all right, V. You'll see.
Arasaka do this? Hit you with Soul Killer? How's that even possible? You died.
Misty knew. Misty always knows.
Jackie, amigo, you really got no idea who I am?
Mano.
Goodbye, old friend.
And something very similar can happen if you choose to accept Hanako Arasaka's offer. You can eventually ask her to talk to Jackie. And very similar to meeting on the roof, he's only able to say a couple phrases. But if you look deeper into those phrases, maybe Jackie still is there. He might not have full control over everything he's saying, but maybe, just maybe, he's trying to tell you that he's still there.
Jackie, it's really you.
Not bad being heir to the Arasaka Empire.
Remember anything about what happened?
Hit the major leagues, essay! Running with Dex! Badass Black Jesus of the afterlife! A heap of Bartley gold-plated cool. Not bad, eh?
Lizzie's cyberpsychosis. This is talking about one of the most famous people in all of Night City, Lizzie Wizzy, who underwent a full body replacement and eventually just became entirely made out of chrome. And during the events of Cyberpunk 2077, she will eventually hire you to investigate her boyfriend to see if he's having an affair.
Anyway, a man. His name's Liam. Liam Northam. Been together a few months, but I think he's cheating on me.
And during the quest, you can come across the club's surveillance system, where her boyfriend Liam can be heard saying that Lizzie's personality has changed since she fully converted her body to chrome. And he adds that he is beginning to get scared of her, and that this is the actual reason for his attempt to create a backup of Lizzie.
Consider it a token of my gratitude. I know you don't often agree to use the relic, but, well, you don't usually make an engram of a living person either.
Oh, come on. Arasaka's taken a keen interest in Lizzie's career. Be a shame if it ended prematurely. A backup copy seems to be the most sensible solution.
How about that? Once you made the backup, can you tweak it to remove undesirable traits? Because Lizzie, ever since her conversion, she hasn't been herself.
I'm afraid that's impossible. Engrams saved in the Secure Your Soul program cannot be edited. But how significant would these edits be?
Significant. Sometimes I don't even recognize her. Other times, never mind.
And your choices can eventually come down to two different things. You can, one, tell Lizzie that Liam is just having an affair, which will conclude the mission and she'll never contact you again. Or two, you can tell her the truth, in which she will later call you and tell you to meet at the No-Tell Motel, where upon arriving you will find Liam's corpse, where she claims that she had accidentally killed him as she wanted to break up and only pushed him. She goes on to say that she feels empty, helpless, and not really herself. But taking a closer look at Liam, you realize that Lizzie might have actually just strangled him, slowly and eventually breaking his spine. Eventually, Lizzie goes on to collect herself and starts formulating an idea of exploiting the tragedy by feeding it as a tale to the media. She tells V to do whatever with his body, offering to pay extra for it, and bids farewell and seems awfully optimistic about what just happened. And she's happy for what she is turning into.
The world would eat it up. A tale of the temptation to control another's memory. A grim reminder that a person is merely a collection of bytes that can be copied, reproduced.
Lizzie, snap the fuck out of it. What about the body?
I don't know, do whatever. Take it somewhere, burn it. I'll pay you.
Okay, I'll take care of it. You sleep soundly now.
Sleep? I won't sleep. I don't need to. Thank you, Liam. You don't realize it, but you've given me something beautiful.
The hell are you talking about?
Go, V, go. And take him with you.
Someone should give you a checkup. See if you're okay, Lizzie. Someone you trust.
I like what's happening to me. Lovely to meet you, V. Now go.
So it would seem that through all the chrome that she's gone through, that cyberpsychosis may actually be slowly setting in. I mean, killing your boyfriend and not really feeling an ounce of remorse? If that's not a cyberpsycho, I don't know what is. Johnny is bi. This is canonically true. Johnny Silverhand is bisexual. At one point in the game, you may or may not go to a gay strip club. And at that point, Johnny can say this.
Last time I was here, I was with Carrie. This Latino hunk gave us a lap dance. Cheeks so smooth, I could almost see my own reflection.
I thought you prefer girls.
Mostly. Now and then I swung both ways.
Johnny's memories are not reliable. This is a very common fan theory that's pretty much been proven true at this point, that the memories you see of Johnny are not actually what happened whatsoever. There are tons of inconsistencies, and even Alt herself basically says that, yeah, Johnny is just lying.
The Alt Cunningham you strove to save in Arasaka Tower no longer exists. This should be obvious to you, as you were responsible for her death.
Your death wasn't Johnny's fault.
How could you know?
Seen you in his memories. It was an accident.
What you saw was his subjective view of what happened. A warped account of events he locked away in his subconscious and replayed time and again. It bears no resemblance to the truth.
Well, lying is a stretch. I don't think Johnny is actually lying. I think the Johnny that we know in-game genuinely believes things happened like this. And it's all because he got soul-killered. Now, whether it's because of the biochip's integrity, or spending so much time in Mikoshi, or Arasaka messing with his memories, or being forced to relive these memories time and time again, and eventually changing them so that way you don't have to keep reliving the same terrible memories over and over again. If there's one thing that everybody can agree on that knew Johnny, he was very narcissistic. So if his memories were changed, or if he can change them at some point to better suit him, I'm sure with all the time he spent in there, he gladly would. Some of the bigger things that Johnny is basically lying to you about is, number one, the whole op. Johnny wasn't in charge whatsoever. Militech was the one that kind of set everything up, and Blackhand was the one that was actually leading it. Some of the things that we could see Johnny do in these memories was actually done by Blackhand. Another interesting thing is Samurai disbanded in 2008, when the op takes place in 2023. And the whole bombing the tower part, Johnny really never lived to see anything go off. He was mainly there as a diversion, and it was other teams' job to set off the bombs. And unfortunately, Johnny ran into Adam Smasher, who Johnny considers to be his arch rival, but Adam Smasher doesn't really even care for Johnny or know who he is. He thinks Morgan Blackhand is his rival. And in the real timeline, Johnny never made it out with his battle with Adam Smasher. The first time those two go at it, Adam Smasher ends up killing him, and Spider ended up using Soul Killer on him at the request of Alt. Another little interesting just straight up lie or misremember is that when asked, Johnny says he doesn't remember working with Thompson ever again. But during the raid, we can see that Thompson is clearly present. So all of these things are just really inconsistent and don't make much sense when you think about them. Which goes on to prove that Johnny is a very unreliable narrator. He's not purposefully lying to you, but he genuinely believes that this is how things went down. Now, this part doesn't really need to be added, but in case you don't believe me saying that Johnny's memories are not reliable, from the same interview as from before, here is the creator telling you so.
Well, 2 or 3 things. One, yeah, Johnny's memories are kind of messed with. They're like redacted. And they're redacted. And then also, Johnny has a tendency to see himself as the star of the movie, so he's not going to make himself look bad, right?
Carrie's ex-wife. Believe it or not, Carrie does have an ex-wife, and he also has some kids.
Who's that?
Louise, the ex-wife.
The what? You're kidding. How long did last?
Too long. But don't worry, it worked out well. For her. Gave her my house in Tokyo, cars, kids. Yeah.
Worked out pretty well for you too, then.
His ex-wife currently lives in Tokyo, and her name is Louise Norden Eurodyne. And we can't figure this out through a couple computers at Carrie's villa. In it, we can read some messages between him and her. She says, "The kids say thanks for the presents. Seems they are all pleasantly surprised they have a fucking father after all. If you were trying to buy their love, well, congratulations. They're happy enough to want to come see you." In which Carrie responds, "Louise, come on, you know I can't have Ted and Kim over here. I'm living here with 15 figure skaters and a wind-up version of one of those organ grinder monkeys. This is no place for children." In which she says, "Read that one aloud to them. Too bad you weren't there to see their faces." In the last message Carrie sends, "Are you out of your fucking mind? Why are you getting them involved? I'm serious, they can't stay here with me. But you know what? Maybe we can go on a trip somewhere. They had a lot of fun on the islands last time. Actually, why don't you just go with them? I'll take care of the hotel, tickets, everything. Just tell me when." So it seems like Carrie is kind of a deadbeat dad in a little way, but what did you expect? The Office Easter egg. This is one I'm assuming a lot of people would know about, especially if they've seen The Office. In the game, you have a quest where you essentially rescue this man, and he tells you his story.
In Japan, Brain Sergeant, top of all. Good instinct. One day, Tiger Claw boss needs surgery. But boss die on table. Tiger Claws were very angry. I hide in boat, swim to America. Here didn't save me. But there is secret. I killed Tiger Claw boss on purpose. World best surgeon, make no mistake.
And this is directly from the series The Office, where a guy basically has almost the same exact story.
In Japan, heart surgeon, #1. One day, Yakuza boss need new head. I do operation, but mistake. Yakuza boss die. I hide fishing boat, come to America. My big secret. I kill Yakuza boss on purpose. I good surgeon, so best.
Night City gasses the homeless. This is kinda true. In one of the news reports, they essentially say this.
And now, an important message for Watson residents. The homelessness problem plaguing the district's sewer system will be addressed as fumigation of the tunnels begins tomorrow. Due to the use of potent neurotoxins, Watson residents are urged to stay clear of storm drains and sewer entrances to minimize risk of injury and death.
So essentially, to clean up the homeless, they're just gonna kill them all and move on. Rita Wheeler date. This one is kind of a stretch. It's not really a date, but it's as close as you're gonna get. Rita Wheeler has to be one of the most popular characters in all of Cyberpunk. Everybody absolutely loves her. She is the bouncer that you see outside of the mocks, and whether it's her badass looks and design, her take no shit attitude, or just all of it mashed together, the community absolutely loves her. And with an update not too long ago, after work hours, you actually can find her and hang out with her for a little bit. Like I said, that's as close to a date as you're gonna get with her. Late at night, heading over to the Baddies Hotel, you can find a little Mox party going on. And right here on the couch, you can find Rita just sitting there listening to some tunes. You can sit beside her and pick a couple songs. She does have a couple lines of dialogue, but not too much. But hey, it's better than nothing.
Eye the tiger, babe. See ya!
Fallout Easter egg. Way out in the Badlands, you can come across a Fallout 3 Easter egg, where you can find what appears to be a vault door with the numbers 101 on it. And on this person's body, we can find a shard to give us a little bit of explanation of what they're doing. And it's between Albert Cole and Gary Epps. We're doing a post-apocalyptic LARP. Join us, it'll be fun. So what, you meet up and pretend you're like nuclear holocaust mutants or something? Among other things, sure. And it's not so much pretend as reenact. We already have this new storyline planned. We'll leave the safety of Bunker 101 for the first time since the nuclear war erupted across the globe. We need to find a hydroprocessor before all the bunk dwellers run out of fresh water. Okay. Listen, no offense, but I don't think playing dress up and running around the Badlands with a plastic pistol is really for me. Like, I don't want to be rude, but yeah. Dude, it's Nova. Like, a ton of fun, actually. I'm serious. Like, Brand Dance is just a regurgitation. It's always the same story that you have to follow. But here, we make up the story as we're going. So that's why LARP is a billion-dollar industry too. Very funny. But man, you get to be the actor, become the hero. Actors get paid. At least try it once. I know you'll get hooked. I'm skeptical. Will Tony be there? Yep. Alright. I'll go. I need to talk to him anyway. You take any real guns out there with all your toys? Preem. And yeah, some, but we never really get them out. Cause I mean, it is the Badlands. Scary shit happens out there. Gary, just relax and try to let yourself enjoy it, okay? So in the context of Cyberpunk, these guys are essentially LARPing the Fallout 3 story. And what's even funnier is the name Albert Cole is actually a reference to one of the pre-made characters in the original Fallouts. And to double it up, Cyberpunk 2077 takes place in, what do you guess, 2077. And what year did the bombs fall in the Fallout storyline? 2077.
Gary!
I am in your shoes. I believe this is just talking about a funny bit of dialogue you can get towards the end of Phantom Liberty, and where you and Johnny are talking about what to do, and you basically ask him a pretty rhetorical question.
Reed or Songbird? What would you do in my shoes, Johnny?
I am in your shoes, dumbass. For every gonk choice you make. But I can't do dick. But honest to God, V, not fucking around? I don't know. Got no goddamn clue.
Calling Jackie. At any point after Jackie's death, you can call his phone number, and it will just ring and tell you that it's unavailable. But you can leave a very nice message for him. And depending on what quest and what you've done in the game, you can get more and more options to basically tell him about what you've been up to.
I, talked to Misty. We were at your place. That mandala you made? It was total shit. But, Misty appreciated it. Maybe me a little too. So, nice work. So, I went to your funeral. God, that sounds so weird to say, right? Mama Wells, well, her heart's broken, but she's hanging in. She's tough. A lot of people showed, actually. Campo Horta sent someone, too. The guy did read from a card, but, yeah, there was a lot of respect. Warmth. Wish you could have seen it, Jack. Sure you would have liked it. So you are never gonna guess what happened. Dex had a hit put on me. Took a bullet, I died, I came back. All good until I realized I had a time bomb wedged in my brain. Oh, it feels like a goddamn movie plot. I got no idea what happened to you, where you are, but hang tough, chica. All right, and I met Johnny Silverhand. Long story. Doubt you two get along. Always could smell bullshit a mile off.
Cyberpsychosis is a cover-up. This is talking about the truth of cyberpsychosis and what it actually is. A lot of people in Night City will tell you that if you get too chromed up, there is a chance that you'll become a cyberpsycho. But is that true? Is that how it actually works? Well, no. It seems like cyberpsychosis is just a scapegoat for what's actually going on in Night City. And who better to explain what cyberpsychosis is than the actual creator of Cyberpunk himself? On a Reddit post a couple years ago, he says this. First of all, cyberpsychosis is a disorder that, in part, depends on the subject's overall internal susceptibility. Just like every person who drinks a lot at parties doesn't end up an alcoholic in the gutter, not everyone who gets loaded up on cyberware is going to automatically go cyberpsycho. You have to have an inherent susceptibility, which is represented by the player's humanity stat. Humanity is not just a measure of one aspect of personality, but an overall measure of several elements, including the subject's ability to emphasize and relate with others, their ability to absorb and rebound from mental and physical stressors, their ability to show compassion and flexibility to others, and whether they are able to balance their worldview through other methods. So, in some ways, I tend to treat cyberware as an addiction, heavy anabolic steroid use being my favorite model. Not everyone who juices ends up going crazy mad with roid rage, but those who are more susceptible to the need to take more steroids are likely to hit a point where they do a flip into roid rage. David's starting humanity was probably already pretty high, and before things went to crap, he had a loving mother, a career path, and no more hassles than an average poor guy in a wealthy Ivy League school. So he had lots of buffer. But even so, he still, even after losing all that, was able to make friends, build a replacement family, and even get a girlfriend and a mentor to create a supportive father figure, so he could definitely handle the stress of adding cyberware up to that point. Most people in Night City don't have the level of humanity to pull this kind of stunt off without going cyberpsychotic. So David is a 1 in a million, and that's why Arasaka wants him. V is a different case. We don't know V's background, but even if V was a full-on corpo, they were able to hold it together even when they ended up with a dead rocker boy in their head. In fact, having Johnny in their head probably helped V, because Silverhand's rage and attitude probably acted as a buffer for all the psychological hits V is taking. It's like having a timeshare with a guy who's already half cyberpsycho and doesn't mind if he slaps stuff onto their shared body. He's already crazy and violent. And no, cyberpsychosis isn't caused by AI net demons. Give me a break, Jubes. So to sum that up for a too long listen, essentially if your mental state is not really there, if you are suffering from PTSD or in a really bad spot in your life, adding more Chrome is just going to make it more likely that you're going cyberpsycho. But just because you load up on Chrome doesn't mean that you're going to go cyberpsycho. It's more of a mental thing than it is a physical thing. And of course, people wouldn't want that getting out there. Would you really want to know that the cause for cyberpsychosis is just how fucked up Night City is? I don't think so, so you might as well blame something else. Jotaro Shobo. Jotaro Shobo has to be one of the most sinister figures in all of Cyberpunk 2077. Even though he's just a minor character and really only featured in one side quest, Monster Hunt, he's still gained a significant reputation among fans as being one of the most evil characters in the entire game. But who exactly is this man and what makes him so evil? Well, Jotaro Shobo is a member of the Tiger Claws and runs and operates the Ho-Oh Club, a pretty seedy establishment in Kabuki that serves as a front for his rather illicit activities. His nickname is the Devil of Kabuki, and he earned this reputation as one of Night City's most depraved criminals. He is a producer and star of snuff brain dances, XPDs, that allow users to feel the sensation of recorded events. And in this case, it is a lot of torture and murder, as Shobo is personally in charge of torturing and killing his victims, with at least 17 confirmed murders attributed to him. Shobo is cold, calculating, and rather sadistic. In some game shards and emails that we can find, we get a rather chilling insight into his psyche. One shard reveals that Shobo was considering kidnapping children for his XBDs, though he hesitates, and not out of morality, but only because it would draw too much attention from law enforcement or other gangs. His meticulous nature is pretty evident in how he selects his victims, often targeting vulnerable individuals like Joy Toys, who are probably less likely to be missed. He then goes on to record their suffering in excruciating detail, creating XBDs that capture every moment of their pain for profit. Now, like I said earlier, he is a minor character, and you really only see him in the side quest Monster Hunt, where Regina Jones gives you the quest on behalf of the Mox. And if you did not know, the Mox is a gang that protects sex workers and other marginalized groups. So the Mox and Shobo definitely are gonna butt heads. Regina goes on to give you the intel about Shobo's location and his role in the XBD trade. And there are two ways to play this out. You can either kill Shobo outright, or you can incapacitate him and bring him back alive to the Mox. And as you go through the quest and you enter this area, you can definitely get a sense for just how depraved and evil this man actually is. And for the limited amount of time he's on screen, he was very, very well written. To get this much of a reputation with only really having one side quest, that's pretty impressive. Zen Master Identity. This has to be one of Cyberpunk's most interesting theories. Who exactly is the Zen Master? Around Night City, multiple times you can come across this random monk, who upon talking to you about meditation will give you a BD, and of course, whenever V is handed anything, she just watches it right away. And after a nice little meditation session, she can open her eyes and the monk is gone. And this happens multiple times. But the interesting thing is, Johnny can't see this monk. And if you try to talk to him about it, he seems very confused and has no idea what you're talking about.
Fuck, I feel like a dog's shit.
See that? There was a Zen Master here. Poof, vanished like that.
The fuck are you talking about?
He taught me how to meditate. It was kind of weird.
So who exactly is this mysterious monk? After some research, I found a bunch of different theories, but I think there's really only like 2 or 3 of them that hold much weight. The first and most popular theory is that it is either Raish Bartmos or is being controlled by Bartmos. Theory kind of starts from a Maximum Mike on the radio, which is interesting because this at least confirms that one other person has met this monk.
So people, listen up, I've got a story to share with you. Recently, I've been hearing about this monk that's been walking around Night City streets, healing the sick, but only those he deems worthy. Some of my listeners seem convinced that it's none other than Raish Bartmos. Raish Bartmos. Yeah, you know, the guy, the chief architect of the net, and later its badass destroyer. The rumor has always been he got taken out by a kill sat in the early days of the Fourth Corporate, but no one ever took responsibility for that strike. Is it possible Bartmos set his creations wild and faked his own death? Did he bring down the net he created because it had turned into another tool the corporations could use to track us and to ultimately completely subjugate us? Think about it.
The only problem is that we can find Bartmos' body pretty much dead, and even Johnny confirms it to be him.
Oh, fuck a dog doll.
One thing I know like I know my own name. You do not poke around strangers' cool boxes. Best case scenario, you find a half-gallon jug of rancid milk. Worst, motherfucker up a sad mast. That's Raish Bartmos.
Raish who?
What do you mean, Raish who? Bartmos, for shit's sake. Gonk who fucking trashed the first net? Data crash? Rabbids? No pings? Jesus, what am I doing here? Who are you even? I'd recognize that mug anywhere. Wanted posters all over town back in 2020. Public enemy #1, dead or alive. Half the city was on the hunt. Poor bastard. Ended up here as a dead rat in a cool box. Till some circuit blew and he thawed like so much meat.
Now, this was a very skilled man. He could have faked his death or uploaded his consciousness to the nets, or this could be an AI that he made. There are an infinite amount of possibilities. But one knock against this would be, why would Bartmos randomly help people meditate? If you don't know who Bartmos is, he was a legendary netrunner in the early 21st century, and may or may not have become notorious as the man who caused the data crash and killed the old net. So that to me doesn't seem like a man who would go out of his way to help people meditate. But I've seen a lot more proof to kind of back this up that this might actually be him. One thing we do know about the Zen Master is he is only visible to people that he chooses to appear to. And on Misty's computer, we can find a note talking about just this. And you would have to be a pretty capable netrunner, somebody like Alt, Songbird, or Bartmos himself to be able to pull this off. Another thing that the monk does is when he's talking to you, he will reference samurai.
The contours of your awareness are much clearer now. The knot in your mind is beginning to unwind.
In the final encounter with the monk, he talks about your two souls, and is able to basically block out Johnny and just talk to you. And again, afterwards, Johnny has no idea what went on, and says he feels like shit right afterwards. And to be able to do something like this, again, you would have to be pretty skilled. Now going back to the body that we find in the dump, there is a constant argument over whether this was the real Bartmos. Now Johnny does say that it was him, but we do know that Johnny's not the most reliable narrator, and this always just could be a body double. One thing that people have pointed out is that Bartmos used a completely custom cyberdeck and not the Alicia one that we find in the fridge. And cycling back around to why Bartmos would help people meditate, this could all recycle back around to Cyber Generation. Cyber Generation was originally published as a supplement for Cyberpunk 2020, and was later re-released in 1995. Now, majority of the stuff that happened in this is pretty much considered non-canon, but maybe they are actually taking certain aspects of it. In Cyber Generation, instead of a corporate war, there was a cyber revolution, a movement led by alts that fought back against the corps who recruited some of 2020's biggest players, namely Silverhand, Bartmos, and Blackhand. Bartmos was greatly affected by seeing what his rabbits had done to the net, and he came out of it very changed, being far more philosophical than he had been. He's described as the spiritual leader of the cyber revolution, and he now spends his days training young netrunners and liberating any info he finds in secure systems he breaks into. So maybe this could be a callback to a Cyber Generation, making it seem that Bartmos has been enlightened, and instead of causing havoc, just wants to help people whenever he can. The other two theories are still plausible, but definitely not as plausible as the Bartmos one. The other one that kind of is just a cop-out is that the Zen Master could be a rogue AI. This would explain why he can do what he does and why Johnny can't see him, because only something as powerful as a rogue AI would be able to do this. Again, this one's kind of a cop-out. The last theory that I saw that was pretty interesting is all about a shard that you can find in the Hunt quest, titled Project Decisions for Next Quarter. And at the end of it, it says, "We have decided to suspend research into transcendental meditation. All those involved in the project will soon receive a detailed report about the indefinite suspension and information regarding new project allocations." So could the Zen Master somehow be related to this? Could he have been a meditative AI developed to help people that somehow got loose and now just wanders around and tries to help who he can? Again, this is kind of like an AI cop-out, but at least this one has a little bit behind it. Mako at the Black Sapphire. This is talking about the Phantom Liberty DLC. During the quest You Know My Name, where you infiltrate the Black Sapphire, you can find Mako, some Tiger Claw bosses, and some USSR generals sitting in a corner booth talking to each other.
In my day, no competition. Soviet mob was the worst scum. Human trafficking, murder for hire, torture-based debt collection. Shit sounds bad as is, but they actually managed to turn the horror up a notch.
Wakako sold out Evelyn. This is kind of a stretch. She didn't necessarily sell out Evelyn as much as she was the middleman. Fingers himself even tells you all this. He basically says that when he had no more use for Evelyn, he contacted Wakako and she sold her off to the scavs.
When I realized I wouldn't be able to help her, patch her up, I called my fixer. 2 guys came and picked her up the same day.
Who'd you call? Who's your fixer?
Wakako. Told her I had a busted doll with a BD implant to hand off.
Life Path Specific Quest. I believe this is talking about some of the quests that you can get later in the game, that depending on what life path you chose at the beginning of the game, you can get a variety of different quests. For example, if you chose to be a corpo, you will get the quest War Pigs, where sometime after meeting with Alt, you will be contacted by Frank Nostra, who worked with you at Arasaka, where he will tell you that Abernathy is planning on purging the department of anybody who is not 100% on her side, and he informs V that he has put together a file on Abernathy, and tells you to look behind a dumpster in an alley, where after looking behind the dumpster you can get a variety of different outcomes.
Nothing like running into old friends and reminiscing, huh? Ah, the golden olden days.
Not in the mood, Johnny.
Should be. Look at your luck. I mean, could have wound up all jittery like him. Have a nice night, V. I'll be at home.
And if you took the life path Street Kid, you will eventually get the quest Small Man, Big Mouth, where after Jackie's funeral, Kirk Sawyer will reach out to you about a new gig, where he will tell you about having heard about an experimental Militech cyberware straight from a lab in Shanghai. After heading to the coordinates that he gives you, you will head to an auto shop, where after dealing with some Valentino thugs, you'll find that there's no experimental Militech cyberware, only a fake samurai jacket. And after making your way back to Kirk, on your way you will hear gunshots in the distance. And arriving at the spot, you will encounter a Valentino by the name of Thomas Hayes, who says that this entire thing was actually just a trap to lure in Kirk so that way they could kill him. Where after that, you can either walk away or strike down the Valentinos.
Well, that's what you get for a lifetime of hustling.
Nice speech. Remind me not to invite you to my funeral.
How about him? Gonna tell anyone to scrape him up and put him under?
No one to tell.
And lastly, if you chose the Nomad life path, you will get the quest These Boots Are Made for Walking. This quest happens after visiting Rogue in the afterlife during Ghost Town. You will get a message from your old car, the one in the prologue, revealing that its location is in the Badlands. And after getting out there, you check under the hood and realize that the engine is still warm, where you will be approached by a woman, Lana Price, who reveals that she is desperate to leave the city and has had enough of the wasteland and sees this car as her only hope at a new life. And after that, you can tell her to keep the car, you can buy it from her, or you can threaten her to leave it. The choice is ultimately yours.
Ah, like clockwork.
Well, definitely no guy or girl magnet, but seems healthy under the hood.
Don't know the half of it. Wait till I open her up.
Not afraid you might. Ah, what can it hurt? I'm dead anyway. Floor it, V.
V sings. The rest of this is actually V sings, I really want to stay at your house, but that's way too long to be putting on the screen. But this is taking us again to Phantom Liberty. During the quest 4-7, if you get there a little early, you are instructed to wait for Reed, in which you can sit down on the sledge, and V will sing a little bit of that song.
So, got away, another way.
Meredith's ultimate fate. So you probably know about one way that the whole Meredith Stout thing can go down. You can help her out and eventually she'll text you, and then you can go to a motel and bang her. Very nice. But did you know that if you notify Royce of Militech's involvement, he will end up not taking the chip? At which case, Meredith will be seemingly fired. And the next place she pops up may or may not be underwater. She got the good old classic mafia treatment. It looks like she was tortured and bound and then thrown into the water with some concrete shoes. Whereupon finding the body, you and Johnny can have a little discussion about it.
Militech don't forgive. Militech don't forget.
Acquaintance of yours?
Yep. Familiar face from my past life.
Cyber Junkies. Cyber Junkies are a new type of enemy introduced with the Phantom Liberty DLC, and they are essentially cyber psychos, except for having a mental breakdown causing it, it's instead drugs. And all throughout Dogtown, there's going to be 11 Cyber Junkies for you to neutralize. River can die or go to jail. River is one of the only romanceable companions that can actually die. If you decide to basically abandon him during the quest The Hunt, he will set off and try to do it all by himself, in which he ends up dying. And if you come back sometime later, you actually can find his corpse. And even heading to the Columbarium, you can find a slot dedicated to River that will read "Until we meet again."
Poor bastard. You just left him.
Yeah, I did.
But say you're not so heartless as to just completely abandon him so that way he dies, he can also end up in jail. If you decide to not help him find Randy, or if during the quest you don't know exactly which farm to head to, either Edgewood or Poppy Farm, if you end up choosing the wrong one, once you realize that you went to the wrong one, by the time you get to the correct farm, Randy will be dead and River will get very angry with you and basically say that he's going to kill Anthony Harris with or without you, in which he proceeds to go do just that. Eventually you will get a text saying the deed is done and telling you goodbye. And completing the game and going through the end credits, River will call you and ask you to bail him out.
Hey, V. Listen now. Stupid question, but do you think you could bail me out? Last night I was sitting at the bar just minding my own business when some guy starts mouthing off about the kids on the farm, saying that they must have enjoyed being hooked up like cows, that they had it coming. Of course, I told him to shut his fucking mouth or else. Surprise, surprise, he didn't listen. So we took it outside and you know what happens next. They're holding me at the precinct in Little China. You know where. Holler if you can help your old River out one last time. Thanks.
Frankfurt Incident. This is talking about what happens at the beginning of the game if you chose the Corpo path, the one that eventually gets Jenkins killed and you fired. So essentially the catalyst that started everything. And basically what this was a giant leak about Arasaka's plans on the moon. And they were leaked at Arasaka's Frankfurt office. And once the European Space Council got a hold of these plans, they decided to hold a meeting to decide whether or not Arasaka's license to create a lunar base should be revoked. And your boss, Jenkins, decided that the quickest way to deal with this would just be to assassinate everyone and try to blame Biotechnica. But the reason Jenkins was in charge of handling this situation was really so his boss, Abernathy, could have a scapegoat. And of course, things proceed like they do in game. V and Jenkins are going to be blamed, with Jenkins deciding to take out Abernathy. But she was quicker to the draw, figured out your plans, and the rest of the story is as you see it play out. FF06B5. This has to be one of Cyberpunk's biggest mysteries, and depending on who you ask, is an Easter egg that is still ongoing. But we'll get to that here in a minute. Mystery began shortly after Cyberpunk released. Players noticed a rather interesting piece of code inscribed FF06B5 at the base of a four-armed robotic statue in the Corpo Plaza. And what's more interesting about it is occasionally you can find monks meditating out in front of the statue. So naturally, this speculated a lot of rumors on what exactly this could be. If we take the FF06B5 and put it on the color spectrum, you would get the color magenta. So this was a pretty good start for a lot of people. And people would try to crack this for quite some time, with theories ranging all over the place. But this magenta mystery would not be solved for a couple years. Eventually in December of 2022, with CD Projekt Red's next-gen update for The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, in a hidden dungeon, players found a mural featuring the Ouroboros, a snake eating its own tail, with a magenta-colored triangle thing at its center, which resembled the Cyberpunk statues. The mural also contained distorted letters FFVQBZ, which, when decoded, translated to FF06B5, confirming that there was some sort of direct link between both games. And this would be even further reinforced by the fact that The Witcher 3 exists as a fictional retro game in the Cyberpunk universe. So there was definitely something more going on here. And eventually in 2023, with Cyberpunk's 2.0 update, alongside the Phantom Liberty DLC, a lot more clues to this mystery began to unravel. Players eventually came to discover that a shack that was previously empty now got a little bit of an update. It now contains a mainframe, a laptop, and an arcade game called Arasaka Tower 3D. The laptop displayed characters from the Witcher 3 universe, and it was overlaid with the Ouroboros symbol. And after a little bit of decoding, there was a message that alluded to a vintage game and a door taken for a wall. And the Arasaka Tower 3D arcade game, which was inspired by Wolfenstein 3D, has you playing as Johnny Silverhand escaping Arasaka Tower during the 2023 attack, in which players could access secret levels. And in one of these secret levels, an underground maze revealed a QR code, which when decoded eventually gave you the message, the winning move is to not play. And using all the clues from the laptop and arcade games, players eventually activated the mainframe, which gave them coordinates to a location in the Badlands. And this led you to a random mattress, and if you waited there till like around 4 AM, you would have a relic malfunction, and this would trigger this cutscene. And the cube that you saw, when all put together as a QR code, eventually gave you this message that essentially says that you've been looking long enough, you can stop it, it's over. Or is it? No, really, it is. Which seems to be essentially telling you that the Easter egg is finally done. But what was the point of all of this? Was this the actual Easter egg? Is there more? What exactly is going on? Well, a lot of people seem to think that this Easter egg isn't the one that the game launched with. And for reasons unknown, they ended up changing what was going to be the Easter egg to the one that they came out with. Other people have come to the conclusion that the Easter egg really wasn't an Easter egg. It was just something that the community stirred up into becoming something. And the real fun was the community coming together to try to solve it. It was more about the journey than the destination. Hence why really the only thing you get at the end of this Easter egg is the Mackinac Demiurge. Basically a monster truck, kinda. So is there more to this? Was CD Projekt Red just trolling us from the beginning? Or was it possibly just a glitch that the community looked way too much into? That we may never know, but you gotta admit, all these years in searching for the true answers was pretty fun. FF06B5 leads to a dick. This one was pretty funny. This was one of the proposed solutions to the FF06B5 mystery, and it would make a little sense because again, one of the devs said, you will definitely know when it's solved, and this would make a little sense. So as we know, the FF06B5 is the code for magenta, and if we head to a wall in North Oak and we look at this beautiful picture, so could this have been the real interpretation of FF06B5 and the community just looked way too far into it and it ended up becoming something so big that CD Projekt Red was like, we can't just have it be a dick joke? Maybe.
Ha! I've got a feeling someone's messing with you, V. You'll follow this breadcrumb trail and when you connect the dots, all you'll see is a dick.
Oh, I'm sure you'd love that, wouldn't you?
Fucking A, I would. That cock would be the first thing Swedenborg did that actually made any sense. Except he'd probably give it some pretentious name. Like, patriarchal phallus, upholding toxic masculinity. What do you think?
I think it's time we moved on.
Arasaka wants a fifth corporate war. This is talking about the gig On a Tight Leash, in which when doing it, you can learn that Arasaka has hired a group of Valentinos to basically pose as Militech and attack an Arasaka facility, thus creating a false flag and giving Arasaka pretty much permission to do whatever they want in retaliation.
No, fuck that! That ain't our deal!
Jose, you thought you broke the leash, but we merely loosened it.
The deal was to attack your convoy, not an entire fucking Arasaka facility!
You're testing our friendship, Jose.
You... Puta!
Go ahead, bark away, make your noise. Show me you're all so dangerous. Then scamper away like mice. It's nothing you couldn't handle. Pleasure talking is...
And upon talking to Padre, he will basically tell you that Arasaka must be trying to start another war.
It's B. Took care of Jose.
Nice work. Really, really nice work. Did you learn who busted him out after he killed that batch?
Arasaka.
Arasaka? You're telling me a megacorp was involved in the killing of some ordinary beat cop?
Joffrey's death was an accident. Jose was covered for another reason.
I'm still listening.
He and his crew were hired to launch a full-blown assault on an Arasaka facility, and do it using Militech equipment.
Attacking Arasaka. On Arasaka's behalf. Shit. You need to get out of there.
You know more than you're telling. Spill.
I'm just speculating here, but
Out with it.
there's a good chance that Arasaka's looking to pick a serious fight with Militech. Maybe even all-out war.
And? Jose's hit was meant to be their excuse? Kinda slim, don't you think?
It's not just Jose. I've heard of other cases. Same MO. This runs deep, V.
But why war? You're still picking up pieces from the last one.
No bigger smokescreen than war. Maybe they need the attention of something else.
Not sure I even want to know. You, Padre?
Not this time, no. Not my board, not my game. See you around, V.
Yeah, be seeing you.
Robot stripper room. Heading to the Dewdrop Motel, and if you come up to room 202, you will find exactly what it sounds like.
For your own safety, please maintain silence.
Adam Smasher detected you. When the game first released, this was a pretty accepted theory, that during the heist, Adam Smasher actually knew you were there. 1, he's looking right at you, and 2, Smasher lights up when scanned. So this led people to believe that Adam Smasher knew you were there and probably just either didn't care or think you were worthy of his time. Now, unfortunately, as cool as that does sound, it's not the case. It is hard-coded in the game files that whenever a boss is looking at your direction, he will automatically detect you. And since Smasher is a boss in the game, that's why he may or may not be looking down your soul. So, sadly no, he does not detect you. It's just a little oversight from the devs. Delta V. This is talking about a little bit of foreshadowing. Leading up to the heist, if you take a close look at T-Bug's shoes, it says Delta V. And of course, we know that Delta means get out of there, leave. So essentially, her shoes are telling V to get the hell out, which is a nice little touch because we all know how the heist ended up going. NPC suicide. This is talking about the suicides that you can come across around Night City. Randomly walking around Night City, you can find people essentially jumping to their deaths. I mean, with half the stuff going on in Night City, it doesn't really surprise me. Predator Easter egg. In the Phantom Liberty DLC, towards the end, as you are rescuing Songbird and heading to orbital air, if you decide to just dip and run on top of the roof, you will see an invisible enemy with mantis blades running away from you after he had just killed a civilian. And if you didn't recognize this, this is of course a reference to the movie Predator, where he can go invisible and has essentially mantis blades. And if you head to the body that he just killed, not only can you find a bunch of Eurodollars, you can also find this message. Here we are again, just you and me. Same moon, same kind of jungle. Every night I climb up onto the roof to remember. How is it possible that we've walked out of hell on earth without a fucking scratch and only the city? Night fucking City could separate us for good. If I could, I'd fucking cut your name into that monster skin. Until then, I'll keep coming back here, because it's only among these trees that I don't feel alone. Iron Man Easter egg. Just northeast of the Militech Detention Center out in the Badlands, we can come across a scene that's very familiar. If you've ever seen Iron Man 1, remember when Tony Stark was trapped inside the cave? Well, this seems to be an exact recreation of it, but in Cyberpunk. Coming across this scene, we can find a shard in the middle of a bunch of dead bodies, and we can learn about a man named Thomas Starr. Get it? Thomas Starr, Tony Stark? Who was a Militech engineer, and the shard reads like this. Day 1. Kidnapped by a nomad gang. Call themselves the Wraiths. Someone must have talked because they knew the exact convoy route and were waiting for us. Or me, I guess. I'm being held in some sort of cave. I've got to get out of here somehow. Can't call for help, they took my biomonitor. They sure were prepared. Day 2. They want me to build weapons, or specifically to remove the security on the SKL 1903 I made for Militech. I'm supposed to convert it to a range of smaller, lighter missiles. I agreed. I want to live. Day 4. I know as soon as I finish the task, they'll kill me. I have to think of something. Day 5. I'm building an exoskeleton. The missiles are heavy, I can't lift them all on my own. Day 8. They don't suspect a thing. Day 11. The exoskeleton is ready. I just need some sheet metal for the armor. I'll build a suit of armor, iron armor, this is my chance. Day 25. They took me outside, I saw the sun. The path to freedom. 42 steps straight ahead. From the door, 20 steps to the left, 5 to the right, 27 steps straight, and then a right turn. Day 36. Armor ready, added some flamethrowers, and hooked up a power supply. Today's the day, just a few dead wraiths, and I'm a free man. So like I said, if you've ever seen the original Iron Man, all of this is almost the exact same thing as what happened in that movie. Yorinobu Arasaka is the real hero. This is a very common fan theory, and honestly, I wouldn't even count it a theory at this point. I do believe it. Yorinobu Arasaka is an unsung hero in Cyberpunk 2077. And you wouldn't think of it just from playing the game. You would think that he's just another Arasaka trying to control all the power for himself. When if you actually take the time to learn about him, you would realize that you're probably completely wrong. Yorinobu Arasaka is the charismatic counter to Johnny Silverhand in Tokyo, and was known to rally up the Japanese public to rebel against their corporate overlords. And it all started when his father, Saburo Arasaka, took him aside and revealed the corporation's true nature, its ruthless pursuit of global dominance through manipulation, militarism, and control. Disgusted by this, Yorinobu fled the family that same night, rejecting his father's vision. By 2020, at age 25, Yorinobu had formed the Steel Dragon, a rebellious gang dedicated to exposing and dismantling Arasaka's corporate operations. Using his insider knowledge, he would go on to lead the gang in harassing Arasaka employees and uncovering black operations, while also traveling globally to secure allies and resources. His anti-corporate stance made him a very charismatic figure. Despite his rebellion, Yorinobu maintained a secret connection with Hanako, vowing to free her from their father's control. And during the Fourth Corporate War, Yorinobu worked with the Japanese government to nationalize Arasaka assets. But the corporation's resilience convinced him that it could really only be destroyed from within. With Hanako's help, he would reconcile with his father after the death of his elder half-brother, and would go on to rejoin the family, becoming the heir to the Arasaka Empire. By 2045, he led the Taka faction, advocating direct, pro-Western solutions, which contrasted with Hanako's conservative faction. But everything got flipped upside down in 2077. Yorinobu's rebellion would take a drastic turn. He would end up stealing the Relic 2.0 prototype, which we all know to have contained Johnny Silverhand's engram, with intentions to sell it to Netwatch and undermine Arasaka. When confronted by his father in Night City, Yorinobu would go on to kill his father in a fit of rage, framing it as being poisoned. As the new CEO, he began sabotaging Arasaka from within, selling assets and planning a military coup. His actions would go on to spark suspicion, and depending on your options in the game, his fate can vary. He can either destabilize Arasaka, get overthrown by Hanako with their father's engram taking over his body, or getting removed as CEO, with his ultimate fate remaining unclear. So, if you don't really pay too much attention in game, you might think Yorinobu is just some spoiled rich kid that just wants to take over daddy's company. But when you actually pay attention to it, he's trying to destroy Arasaka from within. Not out of greed or anything, but out of pure moral ideology. He is literally the Japanese version of Johnny Silverhand. He's not doing it for the clout as YouTubers nowadays would probably do it for. He's merely doing it to try to make the world a better place. So yes, Yorinobu is an unsung hero in Cyberpunk 2077. Alex always dies. Alex is a character we meet in the Phantom Liberty DLC, and depending on which ending you go with, she either lives or she dies. Or at least that's what they want you to think. As we know, she is affiliated with the FIA, and if there's one thing we know about them, is that they don't like loose ends. So at face value, if you do the endings where you side with Reed, she ends up getting killed. But if you side with Songbird and eventually give her up to Reed, You can eventually come to find a postcard wedged in your apartment door. And you can get another variant of that postcard if you end up siding with Songbird and Reed dies. And in this ending, you can run into her at the bar, where she pretty much says that she was tasked with killing you, but she's just gonna wait it out because the relic's already doing it for her. And she ends up saying that the FIA was pulling their agents out of Night City, with her being permanently reassigned to Somewhere Sunny. And sometime later, you will get a postcard from Alex. So the only thing that we really know in the endings that she survives is that she sends a postcard. But anyone can do that. Anyone can send a postcard and pretend to be Alex. We really don't have too much concrete proof that she's actually alive. With everything that Alex knows and how the NUSA treats their agents, it wouldn't be far-fetched to think that they just got rid of a loose end and killed Alex and made it seem like she went to Monaco. So you can either take the endings at face value and think that she lived and went off to bigger and better places, or you could think of it more realistically, and that it's just easier to kill her and not worry about her. Jackie didn't avoid Red. This is talking about the amount of foreshadowing about Jackie's death. In the beginning of the game, after visiting one of your only real friends in Night City, you can come across Misty and Jackie talking, in which Misty says, avoid the color red.
Heart chakra looks a little out of whack, babe. I can release it for you, but you'd have to watch out for negative energy fields and avoid mean reds. Anything red.
Thanks, Misty. You're the best.
And this is a pretty big piece of information because with the heist quest, there is so much red all over the place that it's kind of out in your face. I mean, Dexter Deshawn, jacket, red. Interior of the car, red. Konpeki Plaza, red. The Relic, red. Maelstrom's main color, red. The room where Jackie slots in the chip, red. There is so much red leading up to his death that they're basically slapping you in the face with it. And yeah, Jackie really should have avoided the color red. Romance options are bi. This is talking about the fact that in the game files, all the romance options actually have lines for both sexes. So whether you're trying to romance Panam as a boy or girl, she has the lines for both. And this led a lot of people to believe that originally the characters were meant to be bi, but that was never the case. There actually is a really good interview that explains this, and it basically comes down to they recorded the lines for both just in case CDPR needed it. So no, the characters were never originally meant to swing both ways. CDPR knew what they wanted from the start, but people were just being considerate and thought, hey, maybe they might need it in the future, so we might as well get both. The NUSA assassinated Rhine. Lucius Rhine was the mayor of Night City from 2070 till 2077, when he caught a case of the dead. And a user on Reddit named Jarnin has a very interesting theory. He says that Rhine was probably assassinated by the NUSA in a very roundabout way. In the main job, the heist, V sees a meeting between Arasaka agents and Rhine and Holt, while piloting the flathead through the air ducts of Konpeki Plaza. This scene is there to show you that the two are closely connected and are currently renegotiating their deal shortly before the election. So you know Arasaka and the current mayor, Rhine, are in cahoots. But then Rhine goes ahead and dies in a not-so-nice, off-the-books BD den. The spiked BD could have come from a lot of different places if you take it by itself. But when you look at this in combination with other political stories, things start to gel. Jefferson Perales is Rhine's opponent in the mayoral race, and as such, he's probably not being backed by Arasaka, because Arasaka's in bed with Rhine. Jefferson and his wife are being digitally brainwashed by someone, and that someone is very likely Night Corp. Night Corp runs all the city services in Night City, including the NCPD and MaxTech. Jefferson is a strong proponent of Night City joining the NUSA, which would seem to indicate that he's under the thumb via Night Corp. And basically, Rhine was winning the election prior to his death. After his death, Holt took up the challenge and got his ass beat by Jefferson. Now, an NUSA stooge is in the mayor's office of Night City, which has previously been an Arasaka stronghold. So, the NUSA was able to assassinate Rhine and get their brainwashed puppet into office. Very few know what V looks like. So if you've ever been wandering around Night City and wondered why you're not target number 1, why everybody doesn't know who you are and people aren't constantly gunning for you, it's because of this very simple line that you probably missed at the beginning of the game. When you get your Kiroshi optics, Vic says this. He says that it will blur your face on any camera that you show up on.
Mark 1, like I said, decent enough scanner. Displays data on your cornea. Cherry on the top's a built-in external lens disruptor. In layman's terms, any surveillance cam will capture your face as a blur. And just remember, your body will still show up as crystal clear.
And you might not think much about it, but it's exactly what it sounds like. Anytime you're on camera, no one's going to be able to see your face. So if you actually think about it, unless they see you in person, or they're your close friend or a fixer you work with, no one's really going to know what you look like. And if you leave no survivors, then how is anybody going to ID you? So people have probably heard about some legendary merc, but have no idea what they look like. Edgerunner's alternate endings. At the Japan Expo in Paris, executives and producers of the Edgerunner anime talked about two ideas that they had for alternate endings. In one of them, Lucy would have realized that she was pregnant with David's child. And in the second one, after Atom Smasher and David's fight, David would have been brainwashed by Arasaka. And the reason they didn't go with these endings were for two different reasons. The Lucy being pregnant one was just too happy, and the creators wanted something bleaker, just like the world that they live in. And the David being brainwashed idea was considered too bleak, and just not satisfying enough for an ending. And honestly, I think that the one they ended up going with in the anime was perfect.
A happier ending for everyone involved.
Here, for folks like us, wrong city, wrong people.
Atom Smasher Arasaka. This is probably talking about Saburo Arasaka's granddaughter, Michiko. Now, this is not entirely canon, but the creator Mike Pondsmith ended up holding a live Cyberpunk 2020 session, where he first mentioned Michiko Arasaka, and he would later go on to describe it like this. The name of the scenario is Michiko's Night Out. It involves the granddaughter of Saburo leaving the Arasaka compound on her 18th birthday, in the company of her personal bodyguard, the super solo Kenichi Saburo. While she's out bar hopping in Night City, she runs into and causes an enormous amount of chaos, culminating in a wild fling with, get this, Atom Smasher the Cyborg. I ran the scenario for my own players and extended it for several months. It's a favorite of mine because the external threats are far less troublesome than the ones the players bring with them to the table. And Michiko is a wonderful NPC to play. She's like Battle Angel Alita, crossed with a mad girl genius. You will meet a somewhat older Michiko in the Time of the Red, and she might be showing up in 2077. We're holding off on publishing the scenario since Michiko continues to exist in the 2077 timeline. Have to sort it all out first. So maybe at some point in time, this will officially become canon. And if you're wondering, how does Atom Smasher even well, the body that you see in-game is not the only body that Atom Smasher does have. He does possess another body that he can use for normal everyday things, and it is said that it resembles a young, blonde Elvis Presley. Valentino's true origins. The Valentinos were never the gang that you see in 2077. They were originally a poser gang, dedicated to seducing the most attractive women in Night City. The more unattainable a woman appeared to be, the more attractive a target she was. And as such, a Valentino pursued his objective until he succeeded, or she was scared off. By 2020, the Valentinos met once every 3 months to compare scorecards. And since they really didn't have any territory or goals outside of sleeping with women, they were relatively harmless, unless you were boyfriend or husband of said woman. And if we fast forward to 2077, there is now a gang called the Valentinos. But even some people that work on Cyberpunk have said that there's a connection, but no one has really guessed it. Jay Gray on Reddit said, you can draw a straight line between the Valentinos of the 2020s, a gang of Lotharios who compete in seduction games, and the Valentinos of 2077. But no one has guessed how they are connected yet. Meanwhile, in 2045, 6th Street had security contracts and some police powers in what was then North Haywood. So it seems like there might be more to the Valentinos than meets the eye. But at one point in time, there was a gang going by the Valentinos that was just trying to pick up chicks, and that's pretty respectable. Dex was always going to betray you. This is something that you can find people arguing about to this day. If Dexter Deshawn was always going to betray you, even if the heist went well. The whole heist in and of itself is just very, very sketchy. Dex never has a steady crew, and he tries to keep himself as far away from the heist as humanly possible, not doing sufficient research and pretty much letting V do all the work. And speaking of V, why would he pick mercs with little to no street cred to do a big heist just like this? And it's possibly because they'd be easy to get rid of once it's done. And at this point in his life, Dex doesn't really have a good reputation. At one point, he used to be the guy, but nowadays, even Victor warns you about him.
Met a new fixer. Gave me a job. Name's Dexter Deshawn.
Known quantity from the afterlife. No denying you're moving up.
But something you're not telling me, Vic?
Keep your guard up, that's all. I've heard some things about Dex. He's not as chill as he makes himself out to be.
It seems like the whole reason Dex wanted to get this heist over with was to get the money so he could pretty much dip out for good. And even if the heist went according to plan, he could just kill you two, take all the money, and live the quiet life that he wants to live. I mean, remember when he asked you this?
Mind if I ask you something right off the bangle? Would you rather live in peace as Miss Nobody, die ripe, old, and smelling slightly of urine, or go down for all times in a blaze of glory smelling near like posies without seeing your 30th?
He pretty much said that if you complete this, you'll be famous, but you'll also be dead, so no one can track it back to me. And remember what Misty told us: avoid the color red. Contacts in Arizona. At the end of the game, if you decide to leave Night City with Pan Am, she will mention that they will try everything in their power to save you, including some contacts out in Arizona.
Gonna figure this out, Pan Am. Vic's drug helps a bit now. And once we get to where we're going, we'll try all your contacts.
They've pulled some of our folks out of deep, deep cesspits. They'll help.
But who are these contacts out in Arizona? Well, it could quite possibly be talking about the Technomancers, who are one of the most mysterious nomad packs in the entire country. They don't take on any new members from outside the nomad population, and have but one area of expertise. They are technical mercenaries and literal wizards of technology. They travel North America looking for extremely complex problems to solve, and they have been great assets to corporations willing to pay for their services, and also have helped nomads out as well. They can also repair or create almost any machine imaginable. And in the last few years, they have worked with the digital librarians, more commonly referred to as the library, using their combined resources to reclaim knowledge that was thought lost in some areas of the world. The Technomancers travel the roads in 7 articulated tandem super semi-tractor trailers of their own design. And within these vehicles are no less than 4 fully equipped auto lathe shops, an impressive biotech research lab, an artificial intelligence, and living quarters for 30 of the members. So if Pan Am's group out in Arizona happens to be the Technomancers, and they can actually find them and get in contact with them, it would seem like this group would probably be able to actually help V. And if they would not be able to help right away, they would probably be very interested in learning all that they can and trying to figure out a way to actually help her. So knowing all that, it gives the running off with Pan Am ending a little bit of a bright side, instead of you just dying in a couple months. Dogtown Phone. Towards the beginning of the Phantom Liberty DLC, you are instructed to find an old school telephone, where you'll be able to contact Reed. And instead of doing that, you can type in a bunch of different numbers, and some of them will give you some pretty interesting results.
Fucking hell.
Those c***s.
Whoa.
Oh, V. Oh, V.
Jesus, V. Fucking pathetic.
The hell is this? What the?
Oleg works for the NUSA. Now, you might be wondering who the hell is Oleg? Well, he was Fat Black Jesus's Dr. Deshawn's bodyguard. And there is some pretty decent evidence to suggest that he was in fact secretly working for the NUSA, or at least was an NUSA asset. On one of these Space Force One computers, we can find a bunch of different reports, and one of them is titled Konpeki Incident Report Number 6. And it reads, "It is still unclear exactly what transpired at Konpeki Plaza. Nevertheless, certain factors are unclear. Saburo was most likely murdered by Yorinobu, despite the presence of at least 2 more individuals at the scene. Those were local mercenaries hired to steal the relic. It seems that Saburo appeared in the penthouse unannounced. The possibility that the mercenaries anticipated this has been ruled out, and hence the likelihood that they murdered Saburo. The identities of the mercenaries remains partially unknown. Informant 01257 disappeared before he could access his employer's file. Perhaps Songbird may extract more from Arasaka servers. I confirmed that the stolen relic contained an engram of the late rocker boy, Johnny Silverhand. It is unclear why Yorinobu chose his personality construct in particular. Perhaps Saburo confided something important into Johnny just before he was soul killed. I stress that this is merely a hypothesis. So who is this 1257? Well, if we take it pretty simply, it actually spells out Oleg, with 0 being an O, 12 being L, 5 being E, and 7 being G. Just taking them simply as what number they are in the alphabet. And that would spell out Oleg. So maybe Oleg was a low-level guy that was secretly sent in to work around Night City and happened to come into working for Dexter Deshawn. But before he could give out any information, Takimura may or may not have killed him. T-Bug's logo in Cynosure Bunker. In the Phantom Liberty DLC, we got access to an abandoned underground research facility. That was the main site for Project Cynosure. And what's interesting is in this bunker, we can see a logo that's very similar to T-Bug's. And of course, this is going to raise a lot of questions. If this actually is T-Bug's logo, what's it doing in this abandoned bunker? But first, what exactly was the Cynosure? Well, it was a Miltech created project to essentially counter the Arasaka Soul Killer program. And its main goal was to capture and contain rogue AIs from the net and later use them in various applications. So what does T-Bug have to do with any of this? Well, one of the first answers could just be that at some point in time, she was working for them. This would give a little bit of credit to T-Bug and kind of explain how she is such a skilled netrunner. But that's a boring explanation. The more interesting one is that T-Bug got soul killered. During the heist, we do know that T-Bug eventually meets her end. And all we really know is that she basically got fried. And it is implied that she got hit by Soul Killer. Because we do know that Arasaka uses their version of Soul Killer on valuable assets, such as very skilled netrunners, and stores them in Mikoshi just in case they need them. So maybe Arasaka hit T-Bug with Soul Killer and plan on using her at some point in the future. But this still doesn't explain how she got all the way down in that bunker. Well, one thing that we do know about Soul Killer is that we're not exactly 100% sure how it operates. We can always go by what Johnny says, but as we know, Johnny is not the most reliable narrator. So maybe after she got hit with Soul Killer, she ended up getting stranded on the net and somehow made her way down into the bunker. Another little theory is that from various shards and emails scattered around the Mikoshi level and the Arasaka Tower, that Soul Killer is capable of making countless backups of an engram. So they could have made a couple copies of T-Bug and took one to Mikoshi and then left a couple on the net, which again would explain how she got to the bunker. But this is all theory and speculation, and all really hinders on that logo actually being T-Bug's logo. And if it's not, then all this is essentially just fan theory. But they do look awfully similar. The NUSA sabotaged V. This is something that a lot of people have been speculating about. Did the NUSA really fuck you over in the Phantom Liberty DLC? If you choose to side with the NUSA, after you beat the DLC, you will get the ending where essentially the NUSA saves your life, but at a cost. They had to remove all your cyberware and you essentially can't use anymore. And the reason for them doing that is because they claim that any major cybernetics could overload your brain and kill you.
Your neurons can no longer handle most implants. Chrome. Your brain can manage your personal link and simple code processors. But any use of a combat implant, well, it could kill you.
But what's rather interesting is if you head to one of your best friends in the entire world, Victor, he can run a scan on you and says that it's almost as if your brain turned deaf to input signals.
First time I've seen anything like this. Your cortex seems to have turned deaf to implant signals. Maybe reinstall the neuroport firmware. No, that'd... Maybe switch to binary signaling. That's a risk of shock. Life-threatening kind.
Said you could do something, Vic.
I was wrong. I'm sorry.
And that's really weird because that's not what Reed told you. He told you that if you used any more, you would die. But Vic is telling you something completely different. Another thing that people point out is the 2-year coma. You really don't ever get an explanation for it. The only thing they really say is the damage was worse than we thought. This could have been the NUSA's way of essentially stripping your old life away. After 2 years, a lot of your friends and contacts have either forgot about you or moved on. You essentially have no one but the NUSA. And to the NUSA, you're a very valuable asset. You're one of the best mercs they've ever seen. So it would make a lot of sense that they would want you in their back pocket. And if they really were just able to somehow disable your cyberware to the point where only they can re-enable it, if they ever need you again, you're right there. You essentially have to rely on them. So if a big job that only a merc like you could handle, they pretty much have a guarantee that you're gonna do it. You don't have anybody else to rely on but them, and with the fact that they're able to kind of give you your old life back, they pretty much have your undying loyalty, and if not that, tons of leverage on you. So essentially the NUSA destroyed your life so they can use you whenever they want. Biotechnica can save V. This is a theory that states that the small company Biotechnica has the capacity to not only cure V, but save her life. But who is Biotechnica? Well, Biotechnica, compared to all the other corps, is relatively small, but their claim to fame is creating a synthetic grade fuel. And they license the rights to this out to petrochemical companies like Sav Oil and Petrochem. And by utilizing the licensing rights to other corps, Biotechnica has a lot of Bioware products out on the market. And if you don't know what that is, it's essentially cybernetic enhancements that are based off of human anatomy rather than electronics or mechanics. And they are basically made to enhance the body itself rather than replacing it with technology. So that's all cool and all, but how does this help V? Well, in 2004, Biotechnica was successful in human cloning experiments. And in 2020, they succeeded in producing the first self-aware, fully functioning human clone by implementing a construct personality. So you might see where I'm going with this. The first thing V would need to do is get a couple relics in good condition. And with either Soul Killer or a Soul Killer-like program, get V and Johnny's engrams on those relics. And then just use those and put yourself into a clone body. And voila! Now you have a separate V and Johnny, and V is no longer dying. Now, that is the theory, but there are still a lot of holes in it. V's problem after Mikoshi is that V's body is physically attacking V's nervous system due to the relic's mRNA rewriting of V's genome. So it might be a little hard to get an accurate clone that would accept V. Since it's not really her brain or neural network that's the problem, it's her body. But what's to stop V from doing all this, but instead going into a full cybernetic body? We have seen a couple characters do this like Lizzie Wizzy and Smasher. Now we could sit here and talk about this theory for days, but it definitely seems like there might be more to the whole Biotechnica cloning route. Maybe they've made a bunch of secret advancements and they actually have a way to do it. But for now, this whole thing will just stay as a theory. Maybe we'll get a little bit more information about this someday. I am not me. This is talking about various types of writings you can find all over in Night City. Some of it says, "I am not me," and it's placed in some pretty random locations. And you can also find some writing that says, "I did not write this," with some pretty creepy images around it. But what does all this mean? Well, the theory that I kept seeing around is that rogue AIs have already started to bleed out of the Black Wall, and these scribbles are the last remnants of the infected humans before the AIs completely take over. Just imagine your last seconds, you know something is taking over you, and in a last-ditch effort to remain who you are, you start scribbling on the walls, all in a hope that you could somehow hold on to your sanity. Militech's genocide on nomads. The megacorporation known as Militech, who specializes in weapons manufacturing and private military contracting, has been known to essentially terrorize the people of the Badlands. It's kind of an open secret that Militech and the NUSA are performing a genocide on all the nomads, basically to just reclaim the Badlands. And if you head out to the Badlands, you can find tons of assaults in progress that are being done by Militech. And sometimes you can come across a scene where a lot of people had just been massacred with a couple Militech trucks not too far away. Johnny's body isn't in the oil fields. When you head out to the oil fields to find Johnny's body, you get there and realize that his body isn't there. But we do have a general idea of where his actual body is. During the Cyberpunk Red story, Black Dog, which took place around 2045, a group of edge runners were tasked with transporting a mysterious crate from Night City to Los Alamos, New Mexico. And it's never outright said, but it is heavily implied that the crate was the body of Johnny Silverhand. And the person who was receiving the body was named Angel, who was hinted at to be a cloned version of Alt Cunningham. And the kicker on the head is, for transporting the body, the Mercs got a lost samurai song called Black Dog. Reed's other jobs. Reed is not only an elite NUSA asset, he also has a couple other odd jobs around Night City. Early on in the DLC, when you are driving in the car with him, you will get a phone call from his other employer, indicating that the NUSA pays like crap.
Why you calling me on my day off? Last I heard, you're the manager. Ask Bob, he owes me a favor anyway. Yeah, well, tough nuts. You'd have to manage without me. Boss man, I work the door at a club. Selection, bouncing.
But the interesting part about that is you can find him working at these other jobs.
What? Try me. What? Stop there. What? Try me. Careful now.
Songbird's final video. After the events of the Killing Moon, as you are wandering around Night City, if you happen to be in this area, you can of course find a shard, and because you're V, every single shard you find you just immediately slot in, and luckily for you this is nothing that would debilitate you, and instead it's just a video from Songbird.
If you're watching this, you know how our story ended. I'm a smidge jealous, I'll admit. I'm scared, V. But I need to trust you, and I do. And if you're watching this, I was right to. So, I thank you.
So that is going to be the end for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you guys want to see some more icebergs, click here and here. That's all I got for you guys today. Leave